Welcome to another module. This is module 8 of programming logic using Python. Now what's important about this is our last module in our 101 section of this material. Now what I want to go over specifically is the idea of functions. What is a function and why do they work? If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. It does wonders to let me know what you're interested in and how this content really helps you. Otherwise, let's get started. So, what is a function? A function is a block of programming statements. So if you look at each of these lines, each line of code is a programming statement. All right. Normally those programming statements occur within functions or the script body itself. Now in most languages this is not necessarily true because a programming statement in other languages, which are higher level languages like Java, C#, C, C++, and the like, all have semicolons at the end of their programming statements. What you will find is that in Python, that's not the case. Anything that does not contain a colon is a function, or is a programming statement. So line 8 is a programming statement, line 10 is a programming statement, and so on and so forth. Now why is that important? That's important because we want to ensure that we are putting our executable code where it is supposed to be. Now, when we talk about a function, you might be asking yourself, Professor Fiske, when would I ever use a function? As in, why, right? When should I use one? The easiest way to understand when you should use a function is if you're writing the same line of code that you have originated twice or more than once. At that point in time, you've come to the conclusion, I need a function. Now, why are functions so important? Why are they so powerful? They're so powerful because they give you the ability to take multiple lines of code and call those multiple lines of code with really one name. What that essentially does for us is it modularizes our code so that our code isn't all over the place when we have to troubleshoot. It's in one place and it's reusable whenever we need it. So what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at what's called a repo pattern. This repo pattern is a pattern we use in the real world all the time to derive and create our data access layer when we are trying to connect our business logic slash back in our code behind, if you will, to our databases. Now, why do we use patterns? We haven't really spoke about patterns up to this point. Well, patterns allow us to create code that not only is reusable, but that is understandable by other developers without the need to do a lot of explanation on what or why it is. So, in this case, what you're looking at is called repo or repository pattern. It gives us the ability to create 4 specific methods to connect to a data access or to a database. That can be a file, it can be a database completely, or whatever you desire that to be. Now, in a repo pattern, you have 4 different functions. The first function is create, the second function is read, the third function is update, and the fourth function is delete. This is an acronym that spells the word CRUD. Now this is one of the ways we remember what repo pattern looks like and how it works, because once you start seeing functions that start with create, update, read, delete, then you're like, oh, this is repository pattern. This is going to make life a lot easier on me so I understand what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the data access layer. Okay, great. Now, getting back into the idea or the feng shui of functions, see what I did there? What I want to do is talk about the different parts of a function. So the first part of the function, as you probably already guessed, is def. Def stands for define, D-E-F. And when we define the function, we're not running it. You can see here, down here, this read call, this read execution, is not able to fire because the read function is not defined. So we need to define the function. All right, so we'll define the function as read because that's what we need. And then after that, what we are going to do is we're going to write the implementation of the function. Before we go there, I want to talk a little about these parentheses. What these parentheses give us the power to do. It gives us the power to pass data into the function as a value. Save it to the actual name that we put here. So in this case, I said obj. It's a normal practice that I use. And then use that in the function like it's a variable. In this case, I don't need a parameter. That's what these are called. We passed by value using parameters, but I don't need a parameter, so we're going to skip over that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to open our file. With open, we're going to open the data trucks file, and we're going to open it in read mode. And I'm going to open it as the variable db. Now, I like using the variable db because it reminds me of what I'm looking at. At this point, what I can do is I can say, I think it's read, how does that go? Oh, yeah, right. Return json.load db. And there you go, everything is good to go. Now, if I want to actually see this function or see this function work the way it's supposed to, I can say print vehicles, or if I wanted to consolidate those two lines of code into one line, I could say print read, but in this case, I'll say print vehicles down here. And then what you'll see here is a JSON object that is converted to an actual dictionary. And then those dictionaries are in an array. So we have an array of dictionaries or an array of objects that allows us to take this JSON here and convert it to something of worth in my program. That's it. I don't want to go any further because I can go for hours about functions, but I wanted to get into the parts of a function. In the next few micro lectures, we are going to go over a few more things about functions that'll give you more context and more power in when you're using your functions in your day-to-day development life. Well, I like doing these videos. They are very fun, and so as I say in all of my videos, good luck, have fun, ciao.